Just 4.7% of Canadians prefer you as Prime Minister, around 8% support for your party overall. Is this the last election where the NDP are a real factor?
This is a question we get at pretty much every election. If you go back, we'll get the same questions, similar questions in every election. I'm always going to be here to fight back for Canadians. New Democrats are always going to be there. I'm sure the other parties would love for us to not be there, to point out that their plans are going to hurt Canadians. I know that they would love for us to not point out that Mark Carney, when he talks about investing, in the same man talks about cutting services that Canadians need. That's going to hurt them. That Pierre Poilievre's plan entirely is just to cut the things that you need, to cut healthcare, to cut childcare, and it's going to cost you. I'm sure they would love for us to not be here. We're not going anywhere. We're going to continue to fight for Canadians like we have throughout the history of this country. We will always be a voice for the people, and we'll never back down from that.
We're in an affordability crisis, and I know that you've mentioned the high cost of living. What makes you think that people have money to put into these victory bonds?
Well, we're certainly in an affordability crisis, and so for some Canadians, it's not going to be a choice for them. A lot of Canadians are still making choices around where they invest and how they invest their money. This is a good way for people to say, I've got some room in my investments, and I want to invest and do my part in defending our country. Here's a way to do that.
Just on the victory bond, I'm just reading your press release, and you say the cost of the debt raised from a victory bond will be higher than the debt raised on the capital market. So it seems like these victory bonds, in terms of a borrowing mechanism, would be more expensive than borrowing from private lenders. Is that really the right approach, given where we are when it comes to the deficit, the debt, and economists are worried that we could be going into a global recession with Trump's tariffs?
Yeah, so it's a bit more costly to raise revenue this way than going to the capital markets. But the difference is we're paying revenue or paying interest back to Canadians. So the money goes back to Canadians who then can spend it in Canada. So while it might cost a bit more, it's an investment that goes back to the people that live in our country who will then spend it in our country. So it's net, I think, a much better way to raise funds.
Should the NDP be unsuccessful in growing its seat count if you don't get the breakthroughs you're perhaps hoping for? What does that mean for the future of your leadership of the party, and do you plan to stay on in that case?
Well, I'm not focused on that. I'm focused on the campaign in front of me right now. And I'm focused on what Canadians are struggling with right now and giving Canadians a real choice in this election. If you want someone that's going to fight for you and your family, that's us. If you want someone that's going to give big tax giveaways to big corporations like Brookfield Investment, probably Mark Carney. If you want someone that's going to cut the services you need massively and give big giveaways to billionaires, that's Pierre Poilievre. If you want someone that's going to fight for you and your family, that's me.